Oh, man. Are you kidding me? Yeah, Pat. Yeah, Patrick King. Hey, like when you were a kid growing up, did anybody ever call you Patty?
No, they called me PK, and Estes used to call me Fat Pat because I was the biggest guy on the team.
So if someone would
no
have
one called me Pat. The only reason they didn't call me Patty was I went to grade school, junior high, and high school with a girl named Patty King.
Okay, so if somebody would have called you Patty, would you have smoked them?
No, I would have walked away.
What about
if
somebody would have called you Sue?
Sue.
A boy named Sue.
A boy named Sue from the Johnny Cash?
Yeah.
I probably would have just walked away from
So
him.
people call me Ronnie all the time. Hey, Ronnie, what's happening,
Ronnie,
man?
yeah.
This is Pat King to my right, the great Pat King, former great athlete at Anderson High School, former great high school basketball coach at John Adams, coached football down in Texas, head basketball coach at Madison Heights, head basketball coach South Bend Career Academy. I always liked watching Pat's teams because I always learned stuff watching his team. Then when I took the Mishawaka job, Pat came on board with me, and we set Mishawaka basketball back by about 10 years, maybe 10 years.
You took a little of their money and had some fun. But the one thing I do remember, think how many times you'd get upset. I was going to say pissed off, but we can't.
I used to get pissed a lot.
You did?
Yeah.
You did. And you'd walk over to me, and I had no idea what was going to happen. And I finally realized you'd go, do you realize we get paid to be here?
Yeah, no, I used to say that all the time.
That was kind of your way of saying, these kids are just screwing up. Get me out of here.
Yeah, no, and I mean, we got paid to coach something that, if they would have said, hey, how about coaching this little team? So when I left Anderson and retired from Anderson, my son Jack played for St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Played on the 7th and 8th grade team at St. Mary's in Anderson. Mm-hmm. And I coached that team.
Oh, gee.
I coached that team, and I'm in there coaching them up, man. And to me it was hoops.
Yeah.
To me it was hoops, and I didn't really differentiate. Now the players were different and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't differentiate because I had a practice plan. I went in and I coached them up, and I'm in those little games, and those refs they're just awful, because they're down at that level, and
Well, that's funny because growing up, I had some of my buddies that went to St. Mary's grade school, and then they ended up going to Central or Northside for junior high, which are two schools that don't even exist down there now.
Yeah, no, so coaching. I mean, to me, coaching was just a blast, and it didn't matter. We made a big deal out of making money because we had to feed our families, so we had to make money, but. We did it. We also did it because we loved it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Speaking of coaching, man, college football now is in that area where the regular season is done. They're gonna. We'll talk about some of these playoff games that are going to happen next week.
It is duck and cover time for coaches right now.
Yeah, no, and there's just
they get that phone call from the athletic director. Hey, can you meet me for a meeting?
Yeah, no, and bring the playbook.
Yeah,
that's almost like the NFL when it's cut down day. Hey, listen, come to my office and bring your playbook.
Yes.
That means adios. So I'm just going to go down my list here. Way back in August when we started this round of a 28 show period, all of the big talk was Neon Deion.
Mm-hmm.
All of the big talk was how Deion Sanders was able to lure everybody to come to Colorado, how he was able to decimate that roster,
cleaned house and started
Colorado, and how everybody was buying into it. So the buy-in was so strong. He started off with some non-conference games,
right? And they were on prime time at noon.
Yeah, and they won, and they won.
They were 3-0.
They were 3-0, and then he got into the Pac-12. He ended up 4-8. He was 1-8 in the Pac-12. At the beginning, everybody was talking about his son, the quarterback, and how he was going to, forget about Drake May, forget about Caleb Williams. The Sanders kid from Colorado was going to be all this in a bag of chips.
They had him as a Heisman candidate for the first month and a half.
Yes, and the recruiting cycle, and we said this, if Deion, if he can get this rolling with his personality and the way that he attracts people and the fact that he was there, he did that, he is going to get players, and he did. Mm-hmm. He signed a great class of players, and then sudden reality set in.
Right. They found out they didn't have any linemen.
Reality set in, and they started losing, and now they weren't on primetime games anymore.
Yeah. They stuck on Friday nights at 10 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, and it's the way, everybody thought that we can shortcut this process. Mm-hmm. Let's see what we have. Then let's run 60 players off. Let's bring 60 new players in.
Transfer portal at its best on steroids, that's for sure.
And let's shortcut this process.
Well, I mentioned in August that if they could be 6-6, he could be a chance to be coach of the year. After what they won one game last year with the old coach, if he came in and was 6-6, and that would get him a chance to be in a bowl game, and obviously that would be a big deal for him. But they didn't get that far this year. But I would still have they end up with 4-8.
They were 4-8, 1-8 in the league.
You know what? Let's sit down and think about it. That's not bad.
Well,
that's 3 games better than they were last year.
Yeah.
It just happens with all the hype.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about it right now.
Well, and the hype, and then everybody started, thinking that they could shortcut this, and you can't.
No.
You have to go through the growing pains. That's why the owner of the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper, he took that team over in 2018. He bought that team. He's been through he's going on his 4th head coach now, 5 years later. Just fired Frank Reich today.
Yes.
And, it's the second.
And some of the assistants.
Yeah, and it's the second time in 2 years that Frank's been fired mid-season. I thought the hire was kind of strange myself, but
it happened quick, didn't it? It all of a sudden, boom.
It happened really quick.
Yeah.
And Frank Reich and the general manager wanted to draft the kid from Ohio State,
C.J. Stroud.
Yes, and Tepper wanted to draft Bryce, and so they drafted Bryce Young, and they're in a quagmire of 1-10, and so let's fire Frank.
Yeah, it's Frank's fault.
Yeah, let's fire Frank. Well, and then going back to Deion, now some of these commits that committed the big 6'5" quarterback in the 2025 class, Antoine Hill.
Right.
He decommits today. The great wide receiver from 2025, Winston Watkins, he decommits today. There's another quarterback, Danny O'Neal, decommits today.
He's from Cathedral.
Yeah. So now, the shine is off.
Sure.
Now it's just football.
Yeah, exactly.
It's football, and it's where you fit into the pecking order of football. So now, like you said, they improved 3 games. Now, if they improve 3 games next year, they'd be 7-5 and going to a bowl game. And so I guess what this showed people, what this showed me, what this showed prognosticators, there is a process and there is a method and there is a deal where you have to go through the right coaching ways to do this.
There's no quick fix.
I don't think.
There's a process. I think what he did this year was really pretty good. I would have to give him an A or a B for what they did. It just happened the media created all this. Of course, that's Deion likes that too.
So the media created what Deion wanted to be created.
Oh, yeah, it was very much controlled.
Deion spun it himself early too.
Sure he did.
When they won some quick games, and he was, one of the coaches that they played against wore sunglasses, or made the comment that Deion should take the sunglasses off when he's in
for the night games.
He's in a press conference, and so Deion buys all his kids his famous sunglasses.
Right.
So Deion went in. Deion played into it a little bit too.
Sure he did.
And so now what he knows, and a couple of his coaches are leaving. Tim Brewster, the tight ends coach, they're either leaving or they're getting fired. Just depends on what you believe. But now you got to go back to work.
Yeah.
And
And work starts this week because the transfer portal opens on December 4.
Yeah.
So and we've been all day today. That's all we've been hearing is about who's staying and who's going, and especially here in the state. So
I thought about. Can you do the commercials right now?
I sure can if you want me to.
Yeah, because we're going to get into this pretty hefty. Tony Letcher with Health Markets Insurance is a proud supporter of Coach's Corner. Whether you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, it's time to get the right coverage from the right place. Call Tony at 574-307-8882 or visit his website at tletcher.com. Andy Kern and James Carpenters are both real estate brokers with the Weichert Real Estate and Jim Dunphy and Associates Agency. The office is locally owned but has big company resources behind it that many smaller real estate offices just don't have. Whether you're selling your fifth house or buying your starter home, Andy and Jim can help. They have great experience. Call or text Andy at 574-386-4479 or give James Carpenter, a call at 574-292-2277 for great local real estate service. Frick's Driving School has been named the best driving school in Michiana. Not second best, not third best, but the best. Man, if I was a kid and I would learn to drive from Frick's, my life would be so much better with my wife. She's always complaining about my driving. The best in Michiana. Frick's was started in 1960 and is located on Edison Road in Mishawaka. If your child is 15 or if your child is 67, you can get them started at Frick's. There are multiple instructors available for driving lessons, including our own coach, Patrick King. To learn more, go to fricksdrivered.com or give them a call at 574-256-2881. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Couric Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Dr. Kevin Couric would like to invite you to stop by his office on Cleveland Road in South Bend, just east of Portage Avenue. He's been serving Michiana for over 20 years, specializing in back, neck, and headaches, naturally with chiropractic care. Go see him for a free consult at Couric Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Learn more on their website or give them a call at 574-282-2828. What about Hans Funeral Home, man? Did I tell you the joke? Have I told you this joke?
I'm going to act like I haven't heard it.
What did one cast...
No, you haven't told me the joke.
What did one casket say to the other? Is that you coughing? The loss of a loved one can leave you with lots of unanswered questions and stress. At Han Funeral Homes of Mishawaka, we're here to help. Our focus has always been on the families that we serve. At Han Funeral Home, we stand ready to meet your needs and exceed your expectations when selecting a funeral home. Our experienced funeral directors and staff will be there for you every step of the way for all your service needs. Han Funeral Homes, located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mish. You can call us anytime at 574-255-1474. Stop in to get answers from our local funeral professionals. And then obviously we can't get into this without talking about the Black Sedan Band, a band in Birmingham, Alabama. We have our Black Sedan hotline. They have great music. This is our second year with them sponsoring us. So if you have any questions, just let us know. If you want to book them, let us know. They do travel, and they're great. They play great music, and like I said, they've been with us for 2 years. We are back on Coach's Corner, and how about that Black Sedan Band out of Birmingham, Alabama? They play great music. There are bumper music in, out, or wherever, and their drummer is obviously my brother, the great Donnie Heck. So if you like their music, pull them up on Facebook, on the internet, the Black Sedan Band, and listen to them. And if you're interested, let us know. The Han Funeral Home is a really, the loss of a loved one can leave you with lots of unanswered questions and stress. At Han Funeral Homes of Mishawaka, we're here to help. Our focus has always been on the families that we serve. At Han Funeral Home, we stand ready to meet your needs and exceed your expectations when selecting a funeral home. Our experienced funeral directors and staff will be there for you every step of the way for all your funeral service needs. Get a hold of Pat Hahn and his staff at 574-255-1474 during a very difficult time in your life. Thanks to Tony Letcher with Healthcare Markets Insurance. Whether you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, It's time you get the right coverage for the right price. Call Tony today at 574-307-8882 or visit Tony on his website, tletcher.com. So it's that time where people are selecting new Medicare coverages. Tony Letcher, they do a great job in the Medicare business.
We need to mention Bar Louie here, where we are tonight.
Great Bar Louie.
We're here at Bar Louie. They've been very generous. They feed us every time we're here. We're up here on the second floor. It's all decorated for the Christmas parties that they have, and we're lucky enough to be here tonight because they have Christmas parties now just about every night. But Tuesdays is hamburger night, so half-price burgers. I think they're $6 or $7 instead of $10 or $12 or $14.
And we have tasted their burgers, and they're great.
Yeah, the burgers are great. You guys have done the taste test on them. I'm still the chicken guy, but you guys have done the burgers. And
Coach King living on the wild side.
Yeah, step out one of these days, man. Get a freaking burger.
My stomach,
Jeez.
It's been 35, 40 years.
Since you've had a burger?
Pretty much. I know I haven't had a steak in like 40 years. I've had a burger every once in a while.
You haven't had a steak in 40 years?
Probably not.
John, let's take the boy out.
Probably not.
Let's take him to Ruth Chris with our Christmas.
Absolutely. I think we'll do that for our Christmas party.
The days of getting the number four at Ponderosa are long gone.
Get you one of those nice Ruth Chris prime ribs or one of those ribeyes. Oh man, that'd be good.
Well, I tell you, I did have a piece of steak at a wedding reception here we went to. I can't remember what. I missed a ball game that night. Anyway, that was it.
All right, hey, one thing I want to. So I thought it was really interesting.
We're talking college football.
I thought it was really interesting after the game when IU lost to the Boilermakers, lost the Oaken Bucket. IU had played well, had the game in hand, and just lost the game. And they had Tom Allen on the interview after the game, and they asked him a question, what he thought about what was going to happen. And he said, well, it's not up to me, it's up to my bosses, and we'll see what they do. And one of the guys asked the question and said, so what are you going to start doing? And he said, well, like all coaches, I have to start re-recruiting my players again.
Right.
And I have to start re-recruiting those guys and making sure that they don't go into the portal. Well, I got some good news and bad news for you, Tom. They decided your fate probably after that game and told you the next day. And that might be the bad news, but the good news is you had a $20 million buyout. And because, and I don't know why, and who needs to, I don't really need to know why, but Tom elected not to take the full $20 million. He let IU off the hook with a $15.5 million buyout payable in 2 installments of $7.75 million. And I guess that's great because he has an affinity for IU. If I coached my brains out for 8 years like Tom did, and I might have did the Ed Ogeron saying, show me where I sign, man. Show me where I sign for that 20. Money. But and obviously Tom, a high school coach in the state of Indiana. His first couple years, they had success. In that COVID year, they had success. I think they might have been 6-2, but the last few years they have not. And he ended up 33-49 in 8 years. But
that's pretty normal for IU coaches.
Yeah, but everybody knew that he might have got fired last year had it not been for the $25 million buyout he had last year.
Well, and
that's a lot of money, Pat.
I know it is, but I'm going to go out on make a statement that all this happened, and their peace of mind, or they had the courage to pull the trigger when A&M ponied up $70-some million to get rid of Jimbo, because they said, okay, if they can come up with $70 million to get rid of him, we can find 15 or 20, and I think that's made a decision for a lot of different schools.
So here's the deal on that though, man. You got kids, and I'm kind of the devil advocate on both sides because I think if you're not coaching them up, and so we're judged by wins and losses.
Sure.
We're judged by wins and losses, and you know that. And, not always the case, though, because you had a raw deal at Adams. But most of the time, we're judged by wins and losses. And if we don't win, we always know that's probably what's going to happen. As we go through some of these coaching openings, that is what reality is.
The bottom line in the Power 5 schools, if you don't win, they're going to give you some money and send you home.
Yeah, but so there are students that go to Indiana University, and they can't afford to go to Indiana University. They have to take out massive loans.
Right.
They have to take out loans, and so when they go to IU and they go to a 4-year program, or maybe it takes them 5 years, whatever. I mean, they may come out with a $60,000 or $70,000 loan that they immediately have to pay once they get out of school. And so their first 10 to 15 years of being a wage earner and working with the degree they received, they're paying back money, real money that could be used in their families or whatever they wanted it for. But the university can burn $15.5 million just on a coach, or A&M can burn $76 million on a coach, but yet you have students who would take $100 of that to help them.
Right. Now, you brought up a good point last week about where this money's coming from, and this is not school money. You mentioned last week how boosters are now running the programs, and I think this is a great evidence. This is a situation where they've gone to boosters, whether it's A&M talking to some oil man in Texas, or at IU they're talking to some car dealer or whatever it might be, saying, hey, can you give me 5? I got another guy that's going to give me 5. I got 3 coming over here. They're going to go find 4 or 5 or 6 different people to come up with that $15 or $20 million. Yeah. That's not school money. That's money coming out of some private person's pocket.
And as we said in the 70s, I can dig that. But here's the deal with that, okay? Here's the deal. If I'm a student and I go to that same cat that's given $5 million to buy out Tom Allen, and I ask that cat, hey, Mr. Cat, you have a big business here. You think I could borrow $10,000 from you so I could get a college education? That dude is going to look at you and say, are you crazy?
Yep.
No, but I'll give $5 million to buy out the football coach.
Right.
So it just blows my mind when we're in a time and a deal where I mean that's real money.
Right. Sure it is.
Now, how many people could their lives be changed from a poverty standpoint or anything? But no, that money is going on a buyout, and I just.
Well, that's the same.
I'm an idealist.
I understand, and I'm a realist.
No, I agree.
And I'm looking at the bottom line. You can go to anything, whether it's the pros, paying these crazy numbers of these baseball players, football players, basketball players, numbers with way too many zeros on the end of it. But because they're good for business. That's all it is, and that's what they're showing you. Is the football program is a business that it says IU, it says Purdue, it says Notre Dame, but yet it's still separate.
No. So I get that.
You know it,
and I get it that we're going to pay you for your performance.
Right.
So in baseball, it's a game of failure. Okay. You bat 10 times, you get 3 hits, you're going to make $10 million because you're batting 300. So 7 times you fail, but 3 times you succeed. Mm-hmm. So we're going to pay you for that. But on these coaches' buyouts, we're paying you to get the hell out.
Yeah, they're paying them to go away.
We're paying you to leave. We don't want to see you no more. You've invested your blood, sweat, and tears in this. Now we want you to go. Here's $15 million.
So it's basically still part of their salary, if you think about it, as the buyout. And that's what gets me about the difference between college and pro. And then to go back to the high school, like with you and me, when we coached our brains out, we were still measured on wins and losses, but the school system had that ideologic thing. They're going to look at some chart and say, here's how much your money, because that's how much we pay everybody. So it's very socialistic. So it doesn't matter whether you win 10 games or 20 games, they're going to still pay you the same amount of money. And you know as well as I do, you've got some buddies down in the Indianapolis area right now. They're making some pretty good money. But one of the things you got to do is can you privately negotiate a contract saying, hey, if I win so many games, I get so much more money. If I win a sectional, if I win a regional, well, I get a bonus.
Yeah, that's
because they're going to get rid of you if you don't win.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But they're not going to reward you if you win.
Yeah, and so I'm off of that soapbox now because because obviously I'm not going to change it, and it's only gonna get worse. The guy at Houston, the guy who's ever heard of Houston football? No, I did when Tom Herman was the coach.
Right.
I mean, Tom Herman ran a great program, but Dana Horgelson,
right?
He gets canned after 5 years, and he actually has a winning record. He has a winning record at Houston, but it's what have you done for me lately? He gets a $14 million buyout.
Yep, he's got a buyout that's very similar to IU's.
So
and the programs are probably very similar. IU and Houston.
Yeah. So where do I sign? All right. So now let's take a look at.
So who's going to IU? You heard any names?
Yeah, Johnny Gruden.
Yeah. Can they? I mean, are they going to go for a big name? And is Gruden going to do that? I mean,
John Gruden.
Gruden's a South Bend guy.
Yeah,
he went to school with one of my neighbors back, at Clay High School.
Well, his father was an assistant
was
football coach at Notre Dame, and John played for Elmer Britton at
Clay High
South Bend
School.
Clay. Elmer Britton ran the motion offense. John was an athlete, was a quarterback that could run
ran the option
the option offense, and I think that would be IU needs a name like that. Now, people were complaining that IU's players, this guy's in the portal. Sorley, the quarterback, he's in the portal. The wide receiver, he's in the portal.
He's doing them a favor.
The running back, he's in the portal. Great. Get the heck out. We need some players.
Yeah, he's doing them a favor because if Gruden comes in there, he's probably going to help them and say that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, hey, John, you got a question for us? Because I know you had several questions.
Yeah, we have. This kind of goes on the topic you guys are talking about with IU. This comes from Kern in Odin, Indiana.
I looked that up.
I never heard of it.
Well, it's funny. It's IU, because I looked it up. It's down south and west of Bedford. And it's in the Bedford, and it's between Bloomfield and Washington.
Okay,
good.
That's Zeller country down there.
Well, Kern is an IU fan. Wants to know with the Tom Allen firing and the buyout, what does IU need to do to get the football program right? Because it hasn't been right for such a long time.
Well, it's simple. It's simple. You got to get players. If you're going to compete in the Big Ten with the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Iowas, you got to get players that are being recruited by them too.
Right. Yes.
And you got to do things to get them.
And I was doing some reading. They said that IU has one. So
let me ask you this question.
Evelyn Wood.
Can I ask you this question? You were a quarterback.
Right.
Took a lot of hits to the noggin.
Yeah.
So do you have CTE right now? Do you think?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay.
Although my wife might blame some of my blackouts on that.
Kind of as a follow-up, do they need to invest more in their facilities?
That's exactly where I was going.
Okay, sorry.
No.
But
you're
do you
exactly
need to
right.
invest more in facilities there?
Yeah. IU has one of the deepest pockets in the country. That's one of the things that they were talking about. It's just, where's the money going? Basketball program. So they need to get some of that money out of the basketball program, just like Calipari was talking about down at Kentucky, about let's get football up. They need to take some of that money and move it over to football, and they need to improve their facilities. That will get some of those players to take a second look.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, because I love asking questions. Does that mean John Calipari's giving some of his NIL money from Kentucky basketball and giving it over to the football program?
That I can't answer.
I can answer it for you. No,
I bet no.
No,
but I'm sure he's trying to promote. Hey, give Stoops some money.
Yeah.
But it's coming from the school.
But
NIL money's not coming from school.
But
he's got his own.
If he's giving Stoops some money, is it coming? Is it taking it away from Kentucky basketball? I don't think so.
No.
So would it be taking it away from IU basketball? I would hope not, because basketball is what feeds the university.
Sure. Well, and what I was saying is that they need to allocate some money for facilities like John just mentioned.
Well,
not necessarily NIL.
I thought they just updated facilities at IU.
Well,
3 or 4 years ago.
Well, maybe they need to do it again, because obviously they're not getting some players. Yeah, they did fill in that end zone.
I mean, they filled in the end zone, but so sometimes, you know what it takes? It takes one or two players. It takes one or two players to commit, and to start that cycle and to get that going, it's got to be a head coach with some juice.
Right.
Now they had some momentum when they hired Kevin Wilson, I believe, who was the offensive coordinator maybe at Oklahoma. They hired Kevin Wilson. And he had a couple of good years before he fell on some hard times. But hiring somebody, a name guy with some juice. So how are you going to
bring in John Gruden?
So how are you going to hire John Gruden? You're going to hire John Gruden by paying him the same money Jim Harbaugh's making.
Possibly, or he may come in there. He may say, "I don't need that money," but then he might not too. He may say, "Yeah, you pay me and pay my assistants."
So that sounds like an idealist to me. You just told me you were a realist. Because which guy's going to come in and say, "I don't need the money"?
I'm just saying, but you're right.
You and I would because I'm Polish and you're what, German?
German-Irish.
Oh, okay.
Figure that one out.
But John Gruden ain't saying, hey, if John Gruden's going to IU, his financial package will be up there with the highest paid coaches in that league.
But one of the things they could do is they can spread that out over a number of years,
Yeah.
kind of like some of the pro quarterbacks have done.
Yeah.
Where they've taken less money now, but you're still going to pay them till they're 65 years old.
So you want him to do a Bobby Bonilla contract?
Yeah. I like that idea. I'm surprised more players don't do that.
On July 1st, Bobby, here's another check.
I
Hey, you
know.
haven't played for 37 years.
I'm surprised more players haven't done that. John, give us another one.
You want another one?
Because you said you have a house full of them.
We got a house
I am
full.
happy. We had 7 questions this week. That's fantastic.
A lot of them are college football, but that's timely. What do you guys think of Mike Elko being hired as the Texas A&M coach, and will he be successful there?
Well, Mike Elko
Coming from Duke.
Now he's coming from Duke, but he's a Texas A&M guy, as he was the defensive coordinator at Texas A&M before he took the Duke job. Before he went to A&M, he was a defensive coach at Notre Dame, in God's country here, because we know God made Notre Dame number 1. So he was the defensive coach. What are you guys laughing about?
I agree.
This is
God, country, Notre Dame.
This is northern Indiana, man. This is the southern part of the region.
I guess I'm still a transplant.
Well, I still don't.
You are,
and
man.
I'm surprised I put him on the air wearing that Bears gear today.
Well, seriously.
Tankathon.
He's a fanatic. He's a fan.
So before I was rudely interrupted here,
we were trying to save you.
Mike Elko, he is a Texas A&M guy.
Yes.
He goes to Duke. He goes 16-7
He's
in 2
taken a
years.
lap. He's done things the right way. Went and found a head coaching job.
Yes.
Yeah, he did it the right way. I give him a chance.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
They
to
went
see.
after Stoops from Kentucky, and he told them no, thank you.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see how much of a salary they give him, and I would love to be in the meeting when they talk money, because here's how that meeting might go. Hey, Mike, listen, we really like you. We're going to offer you this job. We can't pay a lot because we're still paying Jimbo. We're paying Jimbo $76
We'll have to go ask Jimbo for a loan.
Yeah.
All right. How about, you got another one?
Yeah, this one comes from Rick in Holland, Michigan. Your thoughts on Jonathan Smith coming from Oregon State to be the new head coach at Michigan State?
Yeah, so Jonathan Smith, a born and bred Oregon State guy. I mean, Oregon State's his alma mater.
He was a quarterback there, wasn't he?
He was a quarterback there.
Yeah.
But again, it's all what have you done for me lately, because he ends up with a career record at Oregon State of 34-35, but it's his last 2 years he's gone 18-7.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can say, and obviously in the Northwest, they beat each other's brains in with Washington, with Oregon, Washington State.
The Pac-12 beats each other up. That's right.
But if you're going to say, oh man, this guy wins, blah 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 blah, he's won the last 2 years. He's young, he's innovative, he has a great control and a great pulse on his own program up there. So I would say during the interview, that all came through.
Well, and we all had a chance to see him play Washington this last weekend too, and that was a heck of a ball game. They gave Washington everything they wanted.
And so, as he takes that job there, I'll be interested to see what kind of contract he gets at Michigan State, because
he's got to recruit Michigan, that's for sure.
Well, so when they hire Mel Tucker, they give Mel Tucker, I mean a pretty good contract, but not a great contract. Mel Tucker wins his first year, goes maybe 9-2 his first year. There's rumblings that the NFL's coming after Mel Tucker. So now Michigan State gives him a 10-year, $100 million contract.
To keep him there, yep.
Yeah. So I'll be curious to see the size of these contracts. Now, as we talk about the college playoff series, the bowl series, obviously with the great Michigan-Ohio State game, we knew one of those teams was going to fall by the wayside. And obviously Michigan now has won 3 straight. And yes, Scott, Michigan has won 3 straight games over Ohio State. Is that called domination? I think it might be.
Well, and the other thing you look at, prior to those 3 years, who won those ball games is what people are going to come back at you.
Yeah,
because I think Ohio State won like 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah,
but as you just keep saying,
it's what have you done for me lately? And Jim Harbaugh.
And I just got a text, by the way.
And Harbaugh was about to get fired, if you remember, 3 years ago because he could not beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
The text I just got came from Josh, not my Josh, but some other Josh.
Okay.
Only scenario he thinks where Ohio State gets in is if Louisville wins the ACC, Oregon beats Washington to win the Pac-12, and Oklahoma State beats Texas. Then Texas missed the CFP with 2 losses. Georgia beats Alabama. Then it would be Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Ohio State. Your thoughts on that?
I totally agree with him. It's either going to be Ohio State or Alabama because they both are going to have 1 loss, right?
Yeah, but you're assuming that Alabama can beat Georgia. Now let's talk about Alabama for a second. That game in the Iron Bowl.
That was fun, wasn't it?
That 4th and forever.
4th and 31, yeah.
4th and 31, and at the beginning of the season, and this is where Nick Saban is he's a pro.
Sure he is.
He's a pro. He's a great coach. You know, we're going to bring in Tyler Buckner, the Notre Dame guy. We're going to bring in Tommy Rees. We're going to do all this. We don't have a quarterback. We play Jalen Milroe the first game. They get beat. He doesn't play well. The next game is against the tomato can, so they play the other 2 quarterbacks. Buckner's terrible. Mm-hmm. The other quarterback isn't much better. Let's go back to Milroe. So, like down the stretch, I mean, Milroe plays like a pro.
Now they're talking about him. He's saying, give me the Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, that ball he threw on 4th and 31,
He threw it to the corner. He threw him open. He threw it to an open spot and said, go get it.
Yeah, and so Nick Saban, and I guess my point was saying that Nick Saban is a pro. He just brought that team along. They went from not very good to a little bit better to a little better, and they brought that team along during the season, and that's why Nick Saban to me is the best college football coach out there.
And the people down there are probably going to tell you that this might be one of his best coaching jobs.
Yeah, and he's 11-1
because he took a lot of new players. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how many players they lost to the draft last year. I'm pretty sure it was double figures. Matter of fact, he had like 6 first-rounders, I think.
Now, can he beat Georgia in Atlanta next weekend? That's the question.
And that's why we're gonna watch that one.
And nobody has been able to beat Georgia in that conference game championship the last couple of years, and Georgia's run the table. And so if that scenario plays out, if Alabama can beat Georgia, now Washington is against Oregon on Friday in Vegas.
That's a rematch.
That's a rematch. What was the score of the first time they played? Can you remember?
I don't remember.
Well, so Oregon has to beat Washington.
Yeah, and they that's a rematch. They split 1-1. So which one is in, which one's out? They're both 1 loss.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's when you got beat. Mm-hmm. So if you get beat now,
you take Oregon instead of Washington?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that's that scenario where Ohio State can get back in.
And one of the stories within the stories, you got probably the 2 top Heisman Trophy candidates, quarterbacks against each other in that game, and Bo Nix and Penix.
Yeah. So and both of those guys are transplants.
Yes,
they're both transplants. Bo Nix comes from Auburn, where he was okay.
Right.
He was okay, but now
he got hurt. I think he got hurt his second year, didn't he? And sat out.
Yeah, and then you put him with good players, and it's the same scenario with Penix. As Penix got hurt, I mean, he kind of resurrected IU for a year or two there.
He was when IU was good, he was the quarterback.
He was good.
And then he got hurt,
Yes.
and IU was bad, and they haven't recovered.
And he transfers out to Washington. He's in the mix for him and Bo Nix are in the mix for the Heisman.
Well, I'm sitting there
So
trying
go
to
figure that.
I'm trying to plan my weekend here. Friday night, I'm looking at an 8:00 game with Oregon and Washington.
You're not doing a basketball game Friday night?
Well, I may have to run home and hurry up and get that done. But at noon Saturday, I'm looking at Oklahoma State and Texas. That's a good noon game. There's two other. I'm probably going to watch that instead of Miami, Ohio, and Toledo.
So what did Sarkisian do last Saturday to try and save a little bit of something? What Sarkisian do? He got Arch Manning in the game.
Oh, he got Arch. He's trying to keep him there.
He's trying to keep him there.
Trying to keep him from transferring.
I mean, Quinn Ewers has another year, I believe, or can Quinn Ewers come out this year?
That I don't know.
I mean, Quinn Ewers is obviously their quarterback, and if Quinn Ewers stays again, Arch Manning is still going to be sitting behind him.
He's going to be the backup for another year. Do you redshirt him?
But is that all that bad?
No.
No, because he's got 3
money.
years.
Yeah.
He's making money. He's learning the college game. But
I'm looking at 4:00. You got Georgia and Alabama, so 4:00's taken care of, and then the night game. What do we watch? Michigan and Iowa, or do I watch Louisville and Florida State?
So
Florida State needs a quarterback.
Or you might be helping me with a basketball.
Well, they're 8:00. I may be running home and watch this one second half.
Yeah.
But Florida State's quarterback's hurt.
So
they struggled this week.
So I think obviously that the weakest team in the Final Four, and Florida State should be in there. They're 12-0. They're undefeated.
Yeah, they're limping in, but like you said, if they can win, they'll be in, even though they may be the weakest link because they're hurting. Their quarterback's hurting. But I think it's going to be a great weekend. Now, John.
Yes.
Why don't I do the Frick's driving
Okay.
road game of the week, because
Certainly.
I've got something I want to go over here. Frick's driving school game of the week is going to be my team on the road with that win was Alabama at Auburn, for them to do what they did. Now, when you people have a chance, go watch the replay. If you remember now, on second down, when the center snapped the ball past the quarterback and caused chaos, and everybody's going, oh my gosh, they're back at the 25 or 30-yard line, and it's third down. That's the ball game. And you're thinking, how could that all of a sudden happen? Watch the replay. Auburn's free safety is back in position, and while they're calling signals, he runs up to the line of scrimmage right next to the linebackers, claps his hands. Guess what happens? Center snaps the ball. Quarterback's not even looking. He's looking sideways, and that's why the ball went right by him. Watch and see if I'm not wrong. Linebackers, he was right next to the linebackers, right in front of the center. Center hears its clap. He snaps the ball. Okay? Obviously, you can't do that. That's that disconcertion that they call quite a bit, but it happens more than we know. You hear, every once in a while you'll have that call because the linebackers are making calls, and they'll be barking or calling hut or saying a set or something, trying to simulate the snap count. And that's why the quarterbacks now have gone to that visual where they're lifting their leg, or you'll see a lot of times the guard is watching and the guard's turned around and he taps the center on the leg, and that's the signal. The center a lot of times now is not any part of the decision making when it's snapped. It's either the guard next to him's tapping him. Just saying. Watch that. Anyways,
we can't get nothing by you.
The fourth down was impressive for him to make. And like you said, Saban said that they practice that play. Now think how many times on day before games in basketball we would practice late game stuff. We'd run that Christian Laettner play, 3 seconds or less, you throw it to the foul line. How many times it works? It never works. They hit the scoreboard, they throw it over his head. It never works. But yet you're going to run it in a game hoping that it might work. And that's what happened. If you remember, that wide receiver ran the guy just a couple steps in, and that created that space in the corner. And the quarterback, all he did was throw the ball to the back pylon and told that receiver, go get it.
Yeah, just a great play. And Jalen Milroe rose to the occasion, all the critics, and he made the play. So the second four obviously would be Oregon with 11-1. Ohio State 11-1, Texas at 11-1, and Alabama at 11-1. And then, like our texter said, a lot of things have to happen. Hey,
Sure.
listen, let me talk about one of our sponsors again, and that's Tony Letcher from Health Markets Insurance. Whether you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, it's time you get the right coverage for the right price. Call Tony today at 574-307-8882. And also Hans Funeral Home. They're located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mishawaka. You can call us anytime at 574-255-1474. Stop in to get answers from our local funeral professionals about all your funeral needs. Han Funeral Homes and Family, serving families. Your Frick's Road Game of the Week.
Right, and my driver's ed. Talk to Joe Lynn, talk to Doug down at Frick's. Phone numbers on the website here. If you're 15, you can get your permit and you can drive not only with mom and dad, but you can get your 6 lessons in down there with us at Frick's. And when you're 16 and 3 months, you can go get your license.
Oh boy.
So.
Oh boy.
There you go. And we do drive in the wintertime, as long as there's not snow on the ground.
Oh boy.
Like we'll drive in the wintertime.
All right.
So
who's your Frick's Road Game?
My road team was Alabama. Alabama on the road.
Yeah,
so I don't think you're going to find anybody better than that this week.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's true. I think that's true. So like, should we make the noise like the little truck going across the screen?
We're not. No.
We're not making that noise.
No. John put a picture up, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
so we're good.
I put up the logo, so that's good enough.
Let's. We probably need to do high school football.
Well, but I'm going to do one more thing.
All right, finish.
So Notre Dame 16th. They're ranked number 16.
Who are they going to play in a bowl game?
LSU.
Why not?
I think Notre Dame LSU would be phenomenal.
Now, John, they've renamed the.
It's the ReliaQuest Bowl or
is
something.
It the old Outback Bowl or Citrus
It's
Bowl?
the old Citrus Bowl in Orlando.
Okay, it's in Orlando. So they're going to Disney. They're going to play there, Central Florida, and it's the old Citrus Bowl.
Who's going to play Central Florida?
It's at Central
okay.
Florida.
It's in Orlando.
So why not generate that buzz?
Sure.
Of Notre Dame LSU?
Sure.
I agree. Yeah, why not?
I think it'd be phenomenal.
Sure.
Hey, Pat, let us know about some high school football here. I mean, last Friday and Saturday, we had 6 games at the Dome.
Sure.
And, good football games. Let us know what happened.
Well, Friday we had the state finals down at Lucas Oil, and I think the games went pretty much as expected. The 1A game, Indianapolis Lutheran, is actually closer than they thought, but they beat Adams Central 35-28. They were undefeated. And one of the things we'll mention is that I think all the winners are moving up a class this year because this is the second year of the
Every
success
single
factor.
one of them.
They're all moving up. So Lutheran will be a 2A. In the 3A game, they had the odd numbers, 1, 3, and 5 on Friday. Chatard was undefeated. They beat up on Heritage Hills, one of the Southern Indiana schools, 35-7. Chatard was good this year. A lot of people were talking they could have played 5A and 6A and been very competitive.
And so Chatard will move up to 4A
They'll move up to
year?
4. And in the 5A, the people up here knew how good they were. Snyder wins. And that's got to make the Mishawaka people cry, 1,000 tears. And beat up on Decatur Central 33-6.
And I would believe that too because if we would relive that Mishawaka game, if not for maybe about 30 seconds of extra time, or if you could have burned 30 seconds somewhere and Snyder not be able to get the ball back when Mishawaka kicks a 35-yard field goal to take the lead. And then Snyder goes down the field.
Just run 10 more seconds off the clock
somewhere.
Yep.
Then you can dream, you can visualize, you can say Mishawaka is in that.
Well, and
position.
here's the good news. Snyder is moving up to 6A next year.
Okay.
Saturday, the 2A, Fort Wayne Bishop Lures. Everybody kind of anticipated it. They were like 6-3 going into the tournament with 3 losses. They were playing an undefeated North Posey team, beat them 40-3. 40-3. It was ugly. Same thing in Class 4A. East Central, undefeated. Again, they could probably be playing 5A or 6A ball. Had a close game early, but they beat up on Northwood 42-14.
And East Central will go
Central's
to 5A
good,
next year.
and they'll be 5A next year.
Yes.
And then the big game was Ben Davis and Crown Point, and Ben Davis 38-10. So they just ran off and hit. Again, most people said that last week was the state final game when Ben Davis played Center Grove, and I think they pretty well proved that. So football is over. Football is over.
Fork in football.
Football is over. It is now basketball season in the high schools.
High school basketball.
We were talking to. They've got a boys top 10 up here in South Bend. The boys have only played 1 week, so some of the teams only played one game. Some of them haven't played at all, but they've got the people. They just put some numbers up there, some teams just to give us something to talk about. You got South Bend Riley, you got Penn, Northridge, same teams we mentioned last week.
Well, so Riley beats LaPorte 81-51. And I thought I saw LaPorte in the sectional last year. The sectional was at LaPorte. I thought LaPorte had a pretty good team, and they had maybe 2 or 3 good players returning. So to see a 30-point win was pretty impressive for Riley.
Yeah,
Riley plays Jimtown Tuesday, Mishawaka Marion on Friday. So Mishawaka Marion will be a good test for Riley.
Right, and then
Maryville on Saturday.
So they've got 3 games this week. John, you're going over to Penn. I may be there too. Penn plays South Bend Clay on Friday night, and they are dedicating the gym floor to Al Rhodes.
Yes, they're having a ceremony between the JV and varsity game. JV at 6:15. They're going to let the varsity boys warm up for about 20 minutes, and then they're going to do the ceremony, and then they're going to play ball. But kind of historic for Al Rhodes, obviously getting the floor named after him, and of course the final game for South Bend Clay against Penn since Clay's closing. So a lot of historical significance in that game, and we're going to have that game right here on broadcastsport.net.
Penn defeats Carroll in their opener 72-66. As we know from coaching, Fort Wayne Carroll's always historically
They're always
a
good.
good basketball
they've got a young man who's committed to Bowling Green. He's their shooting guard. Had a pretty good game against Penn the other day.
And Penn had 3 people in double figures. Maverick Brown had 25 and 7 rebounds. Dominic Bonner 20, and Trey Miller had 18 and 6. So they pretty good balance for the first game.
Yeah, and let's not have no illusions of grandeur here, thinking that Clay can play against Penn. You guys are doing
that's John.
So no, you guys are doing that game, right?
John is.
Yes, I am.
I will probably be there too.
Okay, take some stuff on the Tigers and use as fill-in, will you? I mean, the Tigers signed Kenta Maeda up to
Yes, they did.
I was wondering, $24 million contract.
We made 50 minutes before baseball.
I mean, get some stuff, get some filler material in.
Okay, we can fill it with a baseball question.
We could. Let me here.
Go fire.
Northridge, Mishawaka, Northwood,
Fire.
St. Joe, Marion, Washington, Plymouth, and Clay's number 10 right now because they won a game. All right,
Fire, go.
do your baseball.
All right, who lands Otani for the next season?
Well, so whenever you do this hot stove stuff, there's always people that have the scoop that don't have the scoop because they want to sell newspapers. They want to sell news. So they're saying that the 2 teams in this race are the Dodgers and the Cubs. Now, I will say Otani is going to sign for between $400 and $500 million, which will end up being a $40 to $50 million contract as they'll string that out over 10 years. Or they could, sign that contract maybe with a 2-year opt-out. And there's a lot of ways they could draft that contract out. They could do a $450 million contract for 2 years. Now Otani comes back and he's pitching again because he has to have surgery on his pitching elbow. So he's got 2 years. Then he can opt out because if his arm is sound again, he may get $600 million. So I would say I want the Cubs to get him. I think that's a lot of money. You can say, hey, for $400 to $500 million, we can sign 3 guys.
Right.
But
you can pay tuition for a lot of college students too.
Yeah, well, that's performance. Pat, you're being a smartass. That's performance.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
That was good.
Just to throw that in there.
That's performance.
Just think of all those poor college kids that could pay their loans off.
When you're burning money, to say, Pat, we're firing you. Here's $70 million. You're burning money to tell you to go.
Where do I sign?
Yeah, I know. I'm signing right there too.
Where do I sign?
But so
listen,
I think
you go ahead and keep doing that hot pot stove thing.
Hot stove.
Yes, I'm going to watch college basketball.
All right. Northridge beat Elkhart, beat Westview. They got Culver Academy and Valpo. We'll see what Mark Galloway's got at Culver, right?
Yeah. Well, and you got a game tomorrow night. Washington plays Elkhart tomorrow night, as I know. That's on a Tuesday, so that should be a good.
Are you guys doing that game?
We will have a crew there. Yes, I have a girls' game tomorrow. So I will have a crew there doing that. So we'll have a boys.
Is Patrick going?
No.
I don't want to. I have things to do.
Oh man.
He's going to help me Friday and Saturday.
I'm teaching driver's ed tomorrow
Okay.
night.
So I saw Mishawaka. I did the Mishawaka-Tippecanoe Valley game. Mishawaka's big. They had a nice little guard last year who, if you caught him on a good day, he was pretty good.
Arthur.
If you caught him on a mediocre day, he killed you. But they won the section, won 20 games last week. They don't play this week. Northwood obviously won't play for about 3 weeks because of football. St. Joe will play this week at Concord. They'll play Adams on Friday, and then they'll go to the Duneland Conference against Chesterton on Saturday. St. Joe could be good.
Chesterton's been good, so that'd be a good challenge for him.
And St. Joe should be good. I'm going to do Mishawaka against Goshen tomorrow night.
Okay.
Mishawaka Marion against Goshen. So I'll get a look at Marion and see what they look like. And this is also a 3-game week for them because they play Riley on Friday and Bishop Lures again on Saturday. Washington lost to Lake Central 54-58. Lake Central's historically a good Duneland Conference
They're
team.
big and strong.
And Washington, young, but they have the
They're
player.
young.
I mean, they have the player, Stephen Reynolds. They play at Elkhart, like you said, tomorrow night, and then New Prairie Friday, Goshen on Saturday, and then Plymouth, 2-0.
Yeah.
I mean, Plymouth, come on.
They've
Beat
got
John
things
Glenn
going.
because John Glenn don't have their football players out
Right.
probably yet. Beat South Bend Career Academy, your old place,
Beat
80-52.
Leon's team, yep.
And we'll play Plymouth. So who knows? Who knows about?
It's still
Plymouth?
early, yeah.
Who knows about Plymouth? John, have you used up all your questions?
No, I have not.
Fire.
A couple more. One on college basketball or football. Which one you want first?
Fire.
Is Purdue really the number one team in college hoops?
Well, they go in and they win the Maui tournament. They beat some really good teams. They beat Gonzaga. They beat Tennessee. They beat Marquette. All 3 of those teams were in the top 11. So I think it's a pretty accurate ranking, Pat.
Right now it is. You know, Edie's averaging 23 a game. Their 2 guards, Braden Smith's at 12 a game and Fletcher Lawyer's at 10-7. You know, everybody can say as long as those 2 guards are playing well. Now, as soon as they hit the slump, who's going to catch up for them? I like Lance Jones, the transfer from Southern Illinois.
Yeah,
I like him too. I think he's going to be a difference maker. Trey Kaufman, Wren, and Gillis and First, I think, are they just need to get them more involved. I think right now they're minor characters.
And who else?
Morton.
Who else? Daddy played linebacker for the Bears and the Patriots. Miles Colvin.
Miles Coleman. Where's
Miles Colvin?
I'm looking. Here he is, Miles Coleman. 6 games, 10 minutes a game, 5.2.
There you go.
That's not bad for a freshman,
No,
right?
he in his first 2 games, I think he made 6 threes. Miles Colvin.
Okay.
Kansas was number 1, lost to Marquette.
They're almost too deep. We just named 11 players.
Yeah.
They'll have to get that cut down to
Well,
8.
and you know, I mean, when you talk about injuries, attrition, things like that,
Sure.
Kansas was number 1, lost to Marquette. I think the key for Purdue is this, is for Matt Painter to bring them along a little bit slower. But what happens is teams. It's the same team as last year.
Well, and here's what's going to happen. They play Texas Southern tomorrow night, so they'll win that game. But they're going to run into a hornet's nest Friday night. They go to Northwestern for their first Big Ten game.
Yes, they do, and
they could be 0-1.
So,
well, come Saturday.
Yeah, but they're not going to be on.
And then they play Iowa Monday. A week from tonight, they play Iowa.
Northwestern isn't going to beat them.
Barnheiser's kid's one of the best players this
but
year.
They're still not going to beat them.
Well,
but look,
okay.
You have the top
saying.
20. You have the top 20.
I'm just saying.
Okay, you have the top 20.
Okay.
IU's 5-1.
Yes.
Why is IU not in the top 20? They're 5-1.
Good point. They haven't played anybody.
There you go. They haven't played anybody.
And we mentioned that Purdue wins that tournament that they were in out at Maui, and they played 3 top. Well, they played number 11.
I just said it.
Gonzaga.
I just said it. Gonzaga, Tennessee, and Marquette.
Exactly. And who did IU went to Brooklyn.
Got beat by UConn.
And that's not a bad loss.
And beats Oklahoma State.
Yeah, so they got a split.
Yeah, and then they beat and so IU on Friday, I believe, will host Maryland. So they're right. I mean, they're
right there. And I got to mention my Butler Bulldogs. They're now 5-2. They were down at Disney at Wide World of Sports. You probably saw some of that over the weekend. They lose to Florida Atlantic. Believe it or not, Florida Atlantic wins that tournament.
Wow.
They won that tournament, and then they got in the consolation bracket. They beat Penn State by 10 and beat Boise State, I think, yesterday by 14. So Butler stands at 4-2 with a lot of transfers. And they've got Texas Tech this week, and then they've got Buffalo, California, Saginaw Valley, and then they open up the conference against Georgetown on December 19th.
So they got a bunch of tomato cans.
They've got some tomato cans coming
All right,
through
so
here.
we know why I'm decked out the way I am. Monday night football, Bears, Vikings.
Good luck.
At Minnesota. Josh Dobbs, the ninth-string quarterback, is playing for the Vikings.
I will be safely in bed by halftime knowing who the winner is.
I want the Vikings to win, too. I love the Bears. I want Justin Fields to play well.
Yes.
I want him to play well.
And don't get hurt.
But I don't want him to get hurt, but I'm in tankathon mode. It's been great, Johnny. You've been great spinning the dials tonight. Pat, you're the absolute best.
Fun. Yep, we did
You're
well.
the absolute best, and we will be here same time, same bat channel next week. Coach's Corner with Patrick King.
Tell your friends.
And Ron Heklinski. Oh, man. Are you kidding me?